the recommendation that I have is, in order to do your best work, you have to figure out a way to be your best self and be authentic. Because what I have found is when you try to conform yourself, to constrain yourself, it's like fighting with one arm behind your back. And you can't, and then you get to a point where you do start doing that, you do start trying to be something that you're not, and you're not getting the type of results that you want, and then you start blaming yourself for that. And you gotta get off, you gotta get out of that vicious cycle and just say, look, this is me. You know, take it or leave it. Focus on excellence, focus on your track record. And while people can have an opinion about your presentation, the facts are the facts. And I force people to deal with that. When I was at my press conference yesterday, this woman asked me, you know, people say that you don't look like you enjoy this job. You don't smile all the time. You don't smile much. I said, I thought it was very interesting. I had never heard a male politician being asked why he doesn't smile anymore. I said, and it reminds me of the challenge that women political leaders have. It's just like Ginger Rogers having to do everything Fred Astaire did backwards and in heels. You know, these pressures and the expectations being placed upon us are ridiculous. You know, I said my dad was in politics my whole life. He had a mean mug every day, and nobody said a thing about it. So I said, you know, if I'm mad and I just, you know, if I'm not happy, if I'm miserable and I just, you know, ran through, you know, all of my accomplishments, if I was miserable, I did a damn good job being miserable.
Good morning. April Franson here from Oklahoma City. My question, good morning. My question is,
what did you say, OK or OC? What is that?
OKC.
OKC. Mayor Jim Cornette.
Yes.
He is my vice president for the U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Nice. My question is just about the climb and people in your circle and friends and people that attach themselves to you because of who you are, who they think you're going to become, and what they may be able to attain as a result of being in your space. So as we all are building our own empires, can you speak to what that looks like just as a woman, as a friend, and how do you discern and keep your circle intimate and, you know, that everyone that's in it is not necessarily rooting for you, but possibly drilling holes in the road?
Yeah. Wow. So I'm trying to make myself a better example of this than I know that I am. I will say, because of my father being in politics just about my whole life, my life has been a little bit more my entire life has been a little bit more public than most. So I've been keenly aware of people who seem to be interested in my representation rather than me. So I've been able to discern that. Now, what did that do to me growing up? Maybe not the most friendly as far as letting people in my circle. You know, some of my best friends I've had since pre-K. And, you know, I pick up a friend or two along the way. As far as like the bigger circle, you know, the bigger, you know, kind of Facebook friend circle, that's big. And it's big because I feel like if you know, if you go into it knowing that this is not your ride or die chick, right? This is a friend, you know, I'm not expecting you to, you know, to pick up if I need somebody to, you know, a shoulder to cry on. That's not what this is about, you know, it's casual. To me, that has been easier because I don't expect a lot, so I'm not, you know, I make myself vulnerable to that very tight circle, and I give a lot to that tight circle, and I expect a lot. But in order to be okay with all of else, I had to just let go of those expectations because it frees you up to just, you know, it's casual, it's wherever you can have the time of your life, but I don't get it twisted about, you know, whether they're here for the right reasons, and I don't even think about it because they're not like, you know, I just hold them very closely to a tight group of friends. Now this, you know, my broader circle, it's not that I don't, you know, these are people I call, you know, text and all of those things, but you just have this sense of, you know, I'm not this people. Now, I mean, I would never need bail money, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a poor example, but you know. What'd you say? Yeah, and that's all, you know, and I'm not, people don't understand this about me, but I think in life, you gotta take your criticism and your praise the same way. Because if you don't, you can let your head get blown up by listening to, you know, when you're flavor of the week and everybody's like, you know, you're the bomb, da 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 da. If you let your head get blown up by that, I don't think you can be your best self. Nor if you believe all of the negative. So if some, you know, like, so with the glommers or the haters, if they're saying something constructive, and I can pull something constructive out of it, I pull it out and roll with it. If it's just fluff, you know, believe you me, I know I'm not the funniest person in the world. I know, oh my God, you're the most gorgeous. Yes. You gotta take it the same. You understand what I'm saying? And that's for me what keeps me balanced.
Good morning, Mayor. My name is Cindy Wells, and I am from the city of St. Louis. And that's my right about you right there.
Mayor Slay, very nice guy.
Yes, Mayor Slay. So my question is...
I just hope y'all know I'm going to do this for every city.
So my question is, being from St. Louis and as the world knows Ferguson, having the same similarities as Baltimore, what would be your words of advice for the community? Because, you know, so many people leaning on what are the politicians doing? What are, you know, the celebrities from ST doing? What would be your advice for the community? What do they need to do to get back involved and helping that community get back on track?
When a community goes through something like we did in Baltimore, Ferguson, you know, the other places where it's happening in New York, LA, places where we've experienced riots and unrest, it's traumatic for the psyche of the city as a whole, for the impacted communities. One thing that I think is helpful is finding ways to come together as a community to show who you really are. Because a lot of people feel, and I know because I've heard from people in Ferguson, and I feel it here in Baltimore, feel very betrayed by our representation. If we believed everything we saw on CNN, if you got to St. Louis or Ferguson, it would be burnt to a crisp, right? And everybody would be mad with a picket sign. The same thing in Baltimore. You know, we had 8 hours of unrest, and they played that on a constant loop, and people thought the whole city